What's the deal? What's the deal? What's the deal, man? Salute to everybody coming through. Salute to everybody coming through. Y'all know we gotta run it up over here. Yes, sir. You know, if anything, man, we gotta run it up and we gotta get the content going, man. We got Lil Durk, man. Lil Durk is about to be indicted again on two more murder charges, and it seemed like he was doing too much talking. Cause we know he locked up, and if they indicting him on something else, it's because he has confessed to something. So we don't know who he been talking to, but we know whoever he been talking to about the missions that he was doing. Yeah. They've been giving them up. Yeah, it is not good to talk about them war stories, y'all. Y'all need to understand that. Shout out to YouTube for giving us the platform. You know what I'm saying? So we can come on here and get to the content. But yeah, it is not good to talk about war stories. So if you got any war stories or if you locked up for something that you did that's almost similar to some shit that you did, yeah, you do not need to be talking about it. A lot of people are getting themselves indicted. Yeah. We are watching social media. We are watching these young brothers that supposed to be full of knowledge getting themselves indicted, man. So we about to check out this content. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure y'all double tap that screen and get them likes up.
Absolutely awful news for Lil Durk has just come out. Some new paperwork has just been released, and it looks like Lil Durk's going to be hit with another murder charge. Now, if only there had been somebody that had been saying that Lil Durk might have been connected to other murders for several years. I don't know if there were any YouTubers out there that had, maybe made a few videos or, maybe done a few deep dives into Durk's history and suggested that, he may well have had a few other bodies under his belt, but apparently it's now stamped. Okay. The feds are allegedly planning to file supplementary charges, and Lil Durk is officially about to be charged with another murder. So,
man,
you might remember this video I did, right?
Man.
Let me pull it up.
Hold on, man. Not Lil Durk about to get charged again. Damn, so how they found this out? How do they find out that Lil Durk has did this? Lil Durk must have been talking to somebody he ain't got no business. We ain't been hearing him on the phone or nothing talk to people, so he must have been down there in that prison where he at telling people about them war stories, man.
You might remember this video I did, The Many Murders of Lil Durk. And in this video, I suggested, or more just observed, that Lil Durk's name has been connected to as many as 6 murders. Okay, obviously the murder of FBG Duck, that was very high profile. His brother D-Thang had been alleged to have lined it up, and obviously he ended up getting killed before he could face justice. Now, allegedly, there was revenge for Durk's brother, and numerous people were apparently murdered in revenge for Durk's brother D-Thang being killed. These two guys, Oil and J-Ski, were a couple of guys that were killed at a gas station in what was allegedly a retaliation, but also Stefan Mack. And that, I believe, is the murder that they're actually trying to put on Lil Durk now. I broke it all down in this video a year ago, reaching nearly 2 years ago in November. This video will be 2 years old. But now it is official, okay, that they are apparently going to be hitting Durk with these charges. So this is Durk All Day on Twitter. It's a page that's kind of been following Durk's legal challenges for quite some time. And they've basically said Didi wants the judge to reconsider his detention, but it seems like the government is considering filing supplemental charges by June the 3rd, adding 2 alleged incidents as direct evidence, including the Chicago case and a 2019 incident. So I got the paperwork for you guys here, and it's bad. Okay, so the defendant, Didi, DeAndre Wilson, is basically asking for reconsideration of potential bail. Okay, and the feds are clapping back. They're basically saying that, yeah, there definitely is going to be some tough charges that are coming up. So basically it says they're sort of arguing, Mr. Wilson's alleged role is materially subordinate to every other charged defendant. All the alleged participants are in custody and the alleged enterprise is dismantled. Since the original detention hearing, the government itself has narrowed the allegations against Mr. Wilson, removing its specific allegation that Mr. Wilson was responsible for paying the alleged bounty for the killing of Lil Pab. So second, Mr. Wilson has already spent more than 18 months in pretrial custody, and trajectory points to much longer. That's because, and we didn't know this until now, so this is low-key. Didi's defense are actually kind of leaking the fact that the state are planning to add more charges. It says the government has informed defense counsel it's considering filing supplemental charges by June the 3rd, 2024. So the new charges would add 2 alleged incidents as direct evidence, including conduct the government has affirmatively withdrawn from its case in chief 3 months ago. Supplemental charges of that scope will not permit the August 20th trial date to hold.
Y'all subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. Double tap that screen and subscribe to the channel. Double tap the screen and subscribe to the channel. Quick commercial real quick. We're going to let this commercial go on get over. And we're going to get right back to that content. Make sure y'all vote, man. Make sure y'all
so they're basically saying
vote in.
You got to give Didi another chance to get bail because the government are about to put a whole other murder and a shooting on these guys as part of the whole enterprise. And there ain't no way that I'm going to get my speedy trial by August 20th. I'm going to be in detention for pre-trial indefinite. I could be here for years, forever. Okay. He wants to be let out. Right. So that's basically where it goes down. And this kind of says that the government superseding indictment that came second, it charged Mr. Wilson and all the 5 co-defendants with conspiracy, aiding and abetting, using of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, and stalking, aiding and abetting use of carrying, discharging firearms, including a machine gun, in furtherance of violence, all resulting in death. Basically, the worst possible charges you could ever get. And they're basically saying, look, the government withdrew certain evidence concerning the 2022 Chicago incident at the Lamine hearing. I believe that is actually the murder of Stefan Mack. So they're basically saying that the government informed defense counsel they're actually considering supplemental charges that would charge the 2022 incident and an incident in 2019 from Atlanta as direct evidence. That 2019 incident from Atlanta is the alleged attempted murder that King Von and Dirk committed together when they were with AAB Hella Bands, who ended up dying in Miami randomly, and THF Bezu, who is now also dead. So Dirk's the only person still alive that was even there for that attempted murder.
What?
Right? So this is a big problem. They said that the court denied Mr. Wilson's motion to sever from Dirk. They said the severance motion was considerably stronger before the government's withdrawal of the Chicago incident. That's the Stefan Mack murder. The government now signaled intention to bring both the Chicago incident and a previously unproposed 2019 Atlanta incident into the case as direct evidence, but neither involves Mr. Wilson. So low-key, he's not throwing Dirk under the bus, but what he is doing is basically saying that you guys are adding in the murder of Stefan Mack and the armed robbery in 2019 that King Von and Dirk did together, where they attempted to murder somebody. He's basically saying, look, you guys are I got nothing to do with none of this. This has nothing to do with me. So please don't include me in that. And they're basically airing it out and putting it in front of the world that the state are allegedly planning to add those 2 incidents, the Stefan Mack murder and the attempted murder in Atlanta outside the varsity. So he's basically just trying to move. He wants to have another crack at severing. Okay, they're basically saying that, look, they're rebutting. It struggles the rebuttal presumption. The offense is charged in 1 and 1 to 4. Mr. Wilson satisfies his light burden of production. He's produced concrete evidence that conditions exist that can reasonably assure his appearance and the community safety. So he just wants bail. Right? He just wants to be released back to his family residence in Illinois. Okay, he does not have any allegations that he personally participated in violence. The dismantled state of the alleged conspiracy with every defendant in custody. He's basically saying, look, everyone's locked up. The whole gang's locked up. The whole enterprise is over. Just let me get some bail, especially if you're going to add a bunch of stuff that I wasn't around for. So it makes me wonder if this is something that's actually going to go well for him. And it goes on to say, consider what the first SSI does not allege. The government does not claim Mr. Wilson placed the bounty, coordinated the murder, procured the rental car, ski mask, or hotel room, drove any vehicle involved in the shooting, or rode in the shooting vehicle, or wore a mask, or fired a weapon, or participated in the shooting itself, or was present when the shots were fired, or paid a bounty. Okay, they're basically saying that all the superseding indictment alleges is that Mr. Wilson talked in coded language about a bounty, recruited others to travel to California, and texted their biographical information so flights could be booked, flew from Chicago to San Diego, traveled by car to LA, and traveled to a hotel where TB was staying, followed by a passenger in the white BMW that tracked TP's black Escalade, and they traveled to a hamburger restaurant after the shooting and shot back to Chicago. He's saying that's all that he did. All he did was all of this stuff, right? He traveled to a hotel. They literally went to the hotel where Quando Rondo was staying, right? They followed and was a passenger in a BMW that tracked his Escalade. So, yeah, that's not going to fly. Unfortunately, you cooked. Can you hear that? Somebody's hammering. It's so annoying.
He said, unfortunately, you cooked.
Anyway, all right. Basically, he's just trying to wiggle his way out of this, okay? It says the charging history has changed, okay? They're charging... they said originally at the direction of Banks, defendant Wilson would be paying the bounty or monetary reward or cause payment for the killing of Savia Robinson on behalf of the co-conspirators known and unknown. The conspirators hired to kill Quando Rondo. So they're basically saying that the superseding indictment removed that allegation, and they only have a remaining payment allegation is a general statement that the co-conspirators known and unknown, including Banks and Wilson, would be willing to pay anyone who took part in the killing of Quando Rondo, but it doesn't allege that Mr. Wilson paid anyone. So what he's trying to say to get out is he's basically saying, look, the first indictment said I was there to pay the killers. The second one doesn't say I paid anyone, and it said that, you know, we would pay anyone who took part, but you ain't got proof that anyone got paid. So it says the narrowing's material. They basically originally the detention order was based on the fact that Didi was paying the bounty for the killing of Quando Rondo. But now the superseding indictment doesn't have it. The government has narrowed Mr. Wilson's role in a manner that goes directly to the danger and the seriousness of the inquiries and constitutes new material information being considered for the detention determination. So he's saying it's only right that he should be reconsidered. It's also interesting. It says the government doesn't even contend that Didi was part of the ongoing pattern of violence. He's only charged with being involved in the single incident where Lil Pab was killed, and the bounty is not alleged to have been supplied by Mr. Wilson. It also says the alleged underlying motivating event, the murder of King Von, had nothing to do with Mr. Wilson and is years removed from anything he was alleged to do. There's no allegation of subsequent violent conduct by Didi. And basically they're saying that, look, he ain't done nothing. He wasn't even around when Von got killed, and he just joined in later on, and he don't want to be part of this, okay? And he's saying that he's not a danger to the community. He never directed, armed, financed, transported, or executed any violence. He is alleged to have recruited and organized travel for people, and it says that he is basically the least serious defendant in the case. And it also says because every alleged participant in the trip is in federal custody, which is interesting because that kind of hints towards there being snitches, right? Because it's like there's a few people that were allegedly on that shooting. We don't even know who they are. Well, they're still in federal custody or something like that. Okay. So they're basically saying that the whole gang has been broken apart and there's just no way, basically. So what's interesting is it says here the joint trial is set for August the 20th, 2026, but 3 months before the trial. So, you know, just this month, basically, pretty much to the day, yesterday would have been exactly 3 months before trial. So it seems to suggest that the government has as recently as yesterday signaled that they'll be charging new alleged incidents as direct evidence. And that includes basically the government withdrew evidence initially at February 9th hearing, and the defense refocused on the operating charging document, but then says, okay, it wasn't yesterday, it was on May the 13th. The government announced that it would actually bring back the Chicago incident, the murder of Stephon Mack, and an entirely new incident, the Atlanta attempted murder committed by King Von and Lil Durk. So they've expanded discovery on 2 alleged events. So that means a whole bunch of new information, footage, evidence about those incidents now needs to be looked at by the defense. It says both alleged incidents long predate the conduct in this case. The Atlanta incident occurred in January 2019, more than 3 years before Lil Pab was killed. And it says Durk was arrested on those charges in May 2019, and the charges were dismissed under prosecutorial decision. So Banks was never officially indicted. And then it says the Stephon Mack incident occurred in January 2022, before Lil Pab was killed. And basically it says law enforcement investigated both incidents for years before the government filed the original indictment in October 2024. So it's saying the government had every chance to include them. They chose not to. Then they brought up the murder of Stephon Mack. In an attempt to basically stop Durk having bail.
Versus who? Durk Banks. So the honorable courts, all parties in their counsel of record, defended DeAndre Wilson, lying through his counsel of record, Craig A. Harbaugh, hereby applies for review of reconsideration for the November 15, 2024 detention order under 18 U.S.C. 3142 F2. This application is supported by the attached memorandum of points and authorities, the accompanying CR 88 form, and the entire record in this case. The government opposes this application. Respectfully submitted. Dated when? May the effing 21st. That would be today. AKA, let me out of here. But let's see what he's talking about. Production. In our society, liberty is the norm, and detention prior to trial is the carefully limited exception. So the court should grant Mr. Wilson's application for review and order release on conditions for 3 reasons. First, the government cannot carry its burden of persuasion under 18 U.S.C. 3142G. Mr. Wilson's alleged role is materially subordinate to every other charged defendant. All the alleged participants are in custody, and the alleged enterprise is dismantled. Further, that's crazy. Further, since the original detention hearing, the government has itself narrowed the allegations against Mr. Wilson, removing its specific allegation that Mr. Wilson was responsible for paying the alleged bounty for killing SR. Second, Mr. Wilson has already spent more than 18 months in pretrial custody, and the trajectory points to much longer. The government has informed defense counsel that it is considering filing supplemental charges by June 2026. The new charges would add 2 alleged incidents as direct evidence. Oh shit. Including conduct the government had affirmatively withdrawn from its case in chief 3 months ago. Supplemental charges of the scope will not permit the August 20, 2026 trial date to hold, and Mr. Wilson's pretrial detention is poised to become indefinite. Third, Mr. Wilson offers a fulsome surety package demonstrating strong family support. 3 serious financial commitments combined with stringent comprehensive conditions can reasonably assure both Mr. Wilson's appearance and the safety of the community. Whoa! That's that QR code, man. Y'all know what that is, man. They said no more 5. Nah, double that. Put 10 to win. Thursday, swerve day. You feel me? Free cash, Seti Nash, man. They said 10 in your account. As soon as you want to start it up on your phone and start playing today. Y'all know what free cash do, right? All right, we ain't got to discuss that. Go ahead and don't be an Adrian Broner, man. Don't be a hater, man. Do your thing, man. Start playing. Chicago way back when dude showed up to the damn video shoot with Gillian Rollo when he had the money and all that shit. And it seems like they're going to try to tie that in. That's AKA the get back murder for Lil Durk's brother. So y'all sit back. We about to do some reading. I'm going to try to, quicken this up, but it sounds like we ain't going to be able to. But let's see. Roll it. So let's go ahead and get on with what we have so far seen. Procedural background. So they're just talking about what happened in the background and all this crap, right? So the government withdrew its proposed Rule 404B evidence concerning the 2022 Chicago incident at the in limine hearing. So the feds had already basically said, we're not going to use that. And y'all remember we covered that. And we was like, bruh, yeah, them saying that is crazy. But now it seems like the feds are trying to bring it back. Now they go on to talk about bail reform and all this stuff and everything. But here's where shit gets interesting, right? Section 3142 F2 authorizes reopening at any time before trial if the judicial officer finds that information exists that was not known to the movement at the time of the hearing and has a material bearing on the detention determination. Newly available surety information bears directly on whether conditions can reasonably assure appearance. Basically said, hey, this is some new stuff that's popping out, bro. Is it possible that we could put a bond together that'll get his ass up out of here? And then Mr. Wilson has rebutted the presumption, while the offenses charged in count 1 and 4 trigger the rebutable presumption. Mr. Wilson satisfies his light burden of production. He has produced concrete evidence that conditions exist that can reasonably assure his appearance and the community's safety, including the new surety package, family residence, and support in Illinois, the absence of any allegation that Mr. Wilson personally participated in any violence, and the dismantled state of the alleged conspiracy with every charge co-defendant non-custody on a not heavy production burden, stricken, whatever the hell, 932 F2D at whatever the fuck. Anyways, that showing is more than sufficient. With the presumption rebutted, the burden of persuasion shifts back to the government. Now, obviously, the feds are going to fire back and they're going to try to destroy him because you can't let shit like this just go ahead. So it just basically goes on and talks about the first superseding indictment, right? And then it says, consider first what SS1 does. Not alleged. The government does not claim that Mr. Wilson, A, placed the bounty, B, coordinated the murder, C, procured any firearm, rental, ski mask, or hotel room, drove any vehicle involved in the shooting, rode in the shooting vehicle, donned a mask, fired any weapon, participated in the shooting itself, or was present when the shots were fired, or paid a bounty. What it actually does allege is far more limited. It alleges Mr. Wilson was told a coded language about a bounty, recruited others to travel to California, and text their biographical information so that flights could be booked, flew from Chicago to San Diego, traveled by car toward Los Angeles, traveled to a hotel room where TB was staying. Oh, shit. Okay. Followed and was a passenger in a white BMW that tracked TB's black Escalade, traveled to a hamburger restaurant after shooting, and flew back to Chicago. Superseding 1 overt acts, 1, 5, 7 through 12, 7 through 21, 25 through 27, and some recruitment of 2 participants following their identifying information and presence as a passenger in a fellow vehicle. Mr. Wilson is the only charged defendant whose alleged conduct does not include ordering, financing, supplying, driving, or executing the shooting. Further, the government's charging history has changed since Mr. Wilson's original detention. The first superseding indictment, FS1, the operative changing document at his initial appearance, alleged at the direction of defendant Banks, defendant Wilson would pay the bounty or monetary reward and/or cause payment to be made for the killing of SR on behalf of his co-conspirators, known and unknown to the co-conspirators hired to kill TB. Yeah, that is true, because there was no money paid, because they actually say that. And then they probably gonna say that right here. Filed May 1st, 2025. Remove the allegation. The only remaining payment allegation is the general statement that co-conspirators known and unknown, including defendant Banks and Wilson, would pay anyone who took part in the killing of TB. SS1 count 1 means. Now, SS1 does not allege Mr. Wilson paid anyone. So this narrowing is material. But we're gonna leave it right there, because it really just goes on and say that they just looking for a snitch, right? The government's anticipated case against Mr. Wilson rests in a significant part on the testimony of cooperating witnesses. So here's what we know, so y'all don't got to go watch this 20-minute video that I did. The feds in their first indictment, remember the first one, and this is why we know Dirk is coming home, by the way. They said that Diddy got paid money and he paid everybody at a damn burger shop. That's what he said. That's what he said. So now, the second superseding indictment says that actually never happened. So the meeting at the burger shop is essentially the one where everybody got paid, because we find out later on, actually, that's not true. So the feds then say, well,
My daughter was having a meltdown in the drive-thru when the Frost banker suggested sending her teddy bear.
He promised to pay them? He promised to pay them. And the way he did it was so genius and so secretive that they were promised music opportunities with songs that they never got on. Remember, the murder was damn near 2 years afterwards. 2 years. Just want to put that out there for y'all. So the murder happened, and they were supposed to be rewarded when? After 2 years? See, the feds think that y'all dumb. They just do. Bilal Esley, who is not a real head lawyer over there, that's a Trump lawyer. Trump lawyers been getting spanked. Go look at Jeanine Shapiro. Anybody who goes against the feds in Washington, D.C., you're more likely to win against the feds more than ever with actually Donald Trump's Jeanine Shapiro at the freaking helm. I just want y'all to know that. These are stats. These are facts. So there's that part. But here's where it gets stupid, right? The feds are trying to flip somebody. This is what they're hoping. They're hoping that somebody within the camp of Lil Durk that is in jail with him in LA will say, I'm sick of this shit. Give me 30 years. I'll tell on everybody. I'm going to for sure paint Lil Durk and tell y'all things that y'all don't know, because they're informing.
What's the deal? The
informing was going down a couple of times. Oh, I can show you how Lil Durk set up for Quando Rondo to be shot at in Georgia. All right, well, that helps with the stalking charge. So now we have stalking in Georgia. We can at least get Lil Durk on stalking in goddamn California because the feds know that murder for hire bullshit ain't gonna work. They know that. So what the feds are hoping is to get a 10-year sentence on Lil Durk from essentially having a stalking charge. That's what they're doing. Because the state of Illinois said there's no crime there for Lil Durk. The feds looked into it originally and said there's no crime there for Lil Durk. So now we're just supposed to sit here and twiddle our effing fingers and go, well, you know what, man? Hey, yeah. And y'all want to know why y'all don't hear anything about the flights or anything anymore? You want to know why? Because when the feds initially said that bullshit, they said Durk had multiple flights. If you live in California, you might not fly directly all the way to a certain place. You will have to get on a connector. So imagine, to your surprise, if you were lied on about a crime and you had a flight and your flight actually took you from, let's say, LA to Nashville, Tennessee, and then from Nashville, Tennessee, it took you to goddamn New York. Okay. Well, that long ass, what is it, like a 4.5, 5-hour flight from LA to goddamn NY. The feds go, whoa. Since he has multiple flights, that would be multiple flights instead of one direct. That means that you were planning to run away because you were trying to trigger if you had a warrant or not. Not knowing that Lil Durk is rich, so it really didn't matter. He got 35 million put up. So him saying one day I'm about to fly here and fly there doesn't make sense, because if Durk was really going to flee the country, he would have fled the country when y'all took his phones at the damn Chicago, the freaking Chicago shit. What is it called? That concert that he had in Chicago. That's when the feds took all the shit. That's why they don't have any Apple anything on them. Sorry, Durk is coming home. And this is just a lame ass, low level reaching thing done by the effing feds to try to get somebody to turn, because they know their snitches suck. Sorry, not sorry.
Chicago, a well-respected member of a very notorious gang there has just lost their life, and now after the killing has happened, a lot of people are suggesting that this individual might have had a whole bunch of bodies and a lot of people who wanted him dead. So this is going to be kind of a full breakdown of what happened with Stain, and he is apparently a notorious member of the Wooga World set. And he was recently.
I appreciate everybody coming through, checking out the content. Make sure y'all double tap the screen.
10 days ago,
hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button, y'all.
The news reported his tragic passing. So I've got the news clip here.
Afternoon investigating this shooting, and based on the number of evidence markers we're seeing on the ground, as many as 80 shots were fired here. The shooting happening around early afternoon near 75th and Harvard, apparently right in front of a convenience store. The Chicago Fire Department confirming 3 people were shot. One was pronounced dead on scene. Another victim drove or was driven to a hospital, and a third victim was transported by ambulance. The genders, ages, and conditions of those victims unknown at this hour. As I mentioned, there was clearly a lot of gunfire. It's not just right in front of the store, but up and down the block as well. And at one point, we did see police bringing evidence markers inside the store, so it's unclear if perhaps there was gunfire inside as well. What led to all of this is still being investigated, but a sprawling crime scene right now. And it's worth mentioning this all happening about half a block away from an elementary school during the day as class was in session. So this is obviously alarming to those families as well. I talked to a teacher off camera a few moments ago who said that the school did go on lockdown right after that gunfire happened. Police have been.
It was a vicious shooting, right? There's shell casing markers all over the floor. One person died, 2 others were hurt in this shooting outside the Food Mark, and people are saying RIP Stain in the comments. Okay, so basically, it would be reported all over Reddit that Stain from Wooga World had passed away, and over on Chiracology, where they be keeping track of everything that goes down in the streets of Chirac, a lot of people will begin kind of putting forward their, information and thoughts about Stain from Wooga World, his death, and kind of his backstory. So this was Squid 8 TV that posted RIP to Stain from Wooga World, shot and killed a few hours ago. Condolences to his family and rest in peace. So they're saying he was close with Rico Reckless. Rico was yelling free Stain on every song in 2016, RIP. Saying free Stain, dude's lame, heart like a MF smoking gas and robbing suckers. Classic throwback lines. They sent another member who did 10 years just to come home and die. People saying jail really be preserving people.
What's the deal?
I got Stain and I'm gonna hit it with my dude Stain. Legendary line, RIP, Lil Mister. Right? They're saying, damn, this is a Lil Mikey situation all over again, RIP. How can this happen? Like their ops waited 10 years? Ain't no way. Right? I believe, is that him with Lil Jojo? That's crazy. So people saying they got to stop being outside so much, man. They're saying unless you're getting money in 2026, you got to let the little ones play on the block. Saying every face that died this year and last year was caught loafing outside. Chicago dudes just can't stay in the crib put up. Right? They're saying it's because he's been in prison for so long. He came back thinking it's going to be the same old shit. When it's not, you can't operate like it's 2015 no more. You're in a whole different era. Everyone got to switch and nobody playing by the rules anymore. He says, wow, I just seen it. I seen it coming though. After you watch that Wooga World Hood vlog, I could just tell he didn't change one bit. He was right back on BS like it's 2012.
Free Lil Durk,
Still
man.
shake my head, rest in peace though. I said I know Rico Reckless going to be hurt as hell for real. He's been yelling free Stain his entire bid. Now dude gets out and killed, not even a year of being free. Right? Yeah, it's crazy. It says, I said the same thing. Crazy thing is, I was thinking to myself yesterday, everybody I know from Chicago who caught a body dead besides 051 Driller and Stain. And when Stain entered my mind, I had this eerie feeling, and now he's dead. Okay. But people saying bang the hitter, Wooski, Shorty 4, Shorty hit. Plenty of dudes from the drill scene in the city with real blood on their hands that's alive and free. I think dudes like Lil Mikey and Stain been locked up for too long and didn't know how to move since they was young as hell. Spent most of their adolescence behind them walls. So look, I'm not snitching, but the comments, apparently everyone got bodies. They're saying he was lacking. They said he got caught in his hood. Saying Rico going to be upset. Right? Throwback lyrics, all that stuff. Okay. Basically, everybody is just trying to find out. Someone sent another one of Dirk's cousins knocked off. They cousins. He's saying, yeah, he low-key confirmed it. DJU asked him, is Dirk your cousin? And started smiling and ain't want to answer. Ain't no way. Is that Dirk? Wait. Nah. Really? He Dirk's cousin? What the hell?
Vibes was like back then?
Little Mister, that's my little cousin, man. Rico, blood can't make.
So that mean Dirk your cousin?
Look, man, Mister my cousin.
Okay.
P. Rico, blood can't make us no close.
Okay.
You know? Bro, so it's like we all grew up in the same environment doing the same shit. And
so look, all right. Apparently, okay. They saying he might be related to Dirk, right? I believe Lil Mister was actually Dirk's cousin, despite them being ops, and obviously it was a famous song.
Make
you know,
sure
F
y'all
my
hit
cousin,
that like
all right?
button, come in
it
and
was
hit
a
that like button, man.
it was a thing, right? So he would kind of elaborate a little bit on this actually in this interview. Basically, he would kind of explain some of his backstory, being part of Wooga World, and you know, repping that crew alongside Rico Reckless and Lil Mister, who they, as we know now, was Dirk's cousin. And they're saying, well, if you two cousins, is you second cousins? You related to Dirk, so they might be Dirk's cousin too.
Rico Reckless.
That's my fucking brother, man. Shout out to Rico Reckless, man.
Yeah.
475 shit. Y'all know what time it is, man. Playtime is really over.
Yeah, he definitely kept saying free Stain until Stain was free.
Bro, you know what time it is.
So tell us about your relationship with Rico Reckless. Like, when did y'all first meet and how did y'all get so close?
Like I've been knowing bro since like 2010. 2010. Bro, he showed me loyalty through the gate.
Word. So y'all grew up in the same neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro came through, and that's all it been ever since. Nothing but love.
Yeah.
100.
And when we look at, you know, like classic drill photos of yourself, we see you with Rico Reckless, we see you with P. Rico, you know what I'm saying? The fans are thirsty for a P. Rico interview right now. You feel me? And also, you know, like Lil Mister, right? You know,
rest in peace.
Yeah. So can you tell us, like, you know, how you came up around those guys? You know, like what the vibes was like back then?
Lil Mister, that's my little cousin, man. Rico, blood can't make.
So that mean Dirk your cousin?
So look, all right, you get the gist. All right, you know what I'm saying? You sound like you might be second cousins with Dirk. So basically, all right, he's locked in with the crew Wooga World. Okay, he's in there with people like Rico Reckless, Lil Mister, and obviously Wooga World was tied in with one of the most notorious, one of the biggest ops in the city, Lil Jojo, who released the song BDK that was basically dissing all the black disciples in the whole city of Chicago, Chief Keef, Lil Durk. And Lil Jojo, unfortunately, did end up, getting killed. That BDK song was apparently, it was clapping back at Lil Durk. Durk be having L's anthem, and they went back and forth. And, unfortunately, when Lil Jojo passed away, he had just had a little back and forth with Lil Reese before that, and it was a very unfortunate situation. But his brother Swag De Niro would kind of talk about Lil Jojo's death and the kind of the involvement with Wooga World and, Lil Jojo's kind of crew when everything was going on.
You guys are growing up. You're 15, your dad goes back in, 16, 17. Did you guys start getting into hip hop around that time?
To be honest, bro, I've been rapping since like my freshman year, like 8th grade freshman year, I've been rapping, for real. Jojo, Smiles, you know who Smiles is? Smiles passed away. Okay, Smiles is like he's the producer, so he the one who brought us in the studio. He the one that was doing music early too. Jojo used to be telling Smiles, like, Smiles, bro, make me and my brother, my brother cold as hell, he be rapping and shit. Jojo really wasn't rapping and shit at first. So for real, we started rapping. To be honest with you, like this, I'm gonna show you how much this boy was active. He ain't really want to rap until he heard Lil Durk song, that L's anthem. Cause we heard on the radio, like we driving, it was me and him. I remember we driving, boom. He said, Brick Squad, we say fuck them. Like this on the radio, fool. You know what I'm saying? You talking about fuck us on the radio. Man, he went crazy, fool. He ain't like that. He said, you heard that, bro? Hell no, we finna go crazy. That's it. After that, he was going crazy, bro. First he made the BDK because he felt like basically the man dissed us on the national radio, on the radio. You know what I'm saying? So he wanted to diss them on the largest scale possible. It was a lot of people in his ear telling him do it, don't do it. I told fool do what he want, Cause he told me the same thing.
Okay, and then BDK came out in 2012.
So getting my smoke on.
What happened when that song dropped?
Hood went crazy. Hood was going crazy. Everybody who's BDK was coming out the woodworks like, we BDK too, Like the city was just dividing. Fast too, bro.
Right, and this was kind of one of the first.
The Wooga World guys are tapped in with, all the BDK guys over from Lil Jojo's section, all right? And so one of Wooga World's main rivals during this time in this alliance was Face World 079, also known as Newski Gang, which is named after Durk's late cousin and artist OTF Newski, who also got killed. So Durk has cousins that have passed away that he loves. He's got cousins that he's beefing. And then these two crews are at war themselves, right? So, basically Stain, who, it sounds like maybe he's a second cousin or at least removed from Durk. He's rocking with Durk's cousins that Durk says, F my cousin, all right? And he's also beefing with a set that's named after Durk's other cousin that passed away. So this is quick story of Face World 079 and Wooga World 075 and why they beef. So this is a picture of the crew, the sets, all right? So you kind of see who's involved, some of the history of what's going on with the sets. So it says Face World 079 is a set of BD and GD gang members located on West 80th Street of Englewood neighborhood. The set was previously called Boys Town 79, but was later renamed Face World 079 in honor of the late Lil Face, who died on October 17th, 2010, and was killed by members of BOCO. Wooga World 075 is an insane GD set located on West 75th Street of the Englewood neighborhood. The set was previously called 7 Nickel, but was later renamed Wooga World in the honor of the late Sugar Wooga, who died in 2001, or Sugar Wooga. But previously, there was no conflict between Face World 079 and Wooga World 075, and both sets had a good relationship, but everything changed and they became irreconcilable enemies. The war began when Stain from Wooga World 075 killed a member from Face World 079, leading to brutal consequences, instant revenge, and countless casualties. On May 6, 2014, Juju, real name Jawan Porter, was standing with friends on the 7900 block of South Vincennes Avenue when two suspects approached them and opened fire. Juju was pronounced dead at the scene with gunshot wounds throughout his body, and he was only 18 years old. The considered killers are likely Stain and Lil Mister from Wooga World 075. People are saying there's more to it. That's why I'm going to do a documentary on it instead of make comments, because I know the other bloggers be taking notes on here. Let us know.
Yeah,
people are saying, does Face World have bodies on Boko Hood, who killed Face? Never heard them diss each other. Said no, Face World 079 and Boko probably had fights at most. 069 Face World and 079 Face World was together at a point, but they always had their own smokes.
Yeah, I heard him. That boy say he know other bloggers be taking notes. Yeah, we let y'all do all that. and we just come back, you know what I'm saying, and do what we got to do. We let y'all do all the work, though, man. Shout out to y'all for putting that work in, man. Shout out to Trap Lord Ross, man, for putting that work in, man. Keeping the content going, bro. We showed appreciate you.
Not Inglewood, that's Chatham. So that's all Auburn Gresham, not Chatham.
What's good? What's up, Will? Shout out to Will, man. We up here, man.
So people saying Mr. is not killer.
Talking
so then what are you saying? Stain did it? So saying Lil Durk, he can't duck this clip. Wooga K because they F with them. Let's get it. It's from competition, right? So basically, Stain allegedly was out here catching bodies, very infamous bodies on famous sets that were made in honor of, you know, that basically was sliding for Durk's cousin, all right, Nooski Gang, as they would eventually be known. But here's some more details about the shooting of Juju, allegedly the murder that was carried out by Stain himself, right? It says Chatham shooting kills teen and critically wounds a man. And, you know, I'm fortunate that Stain kind of went out the same way outside of a sort of convenience store food spot. Went out exactly the same way. It says Chicago, one man is dead and another in critical condition after a shooting in Chatham Tuesday night. The victims were standing in the 7900 block of South Vincennes Avenue when two gunmen walked up and began shooting around 9:50 p.m. Juan Porter, 18 of the 600 block of East 131st Street, was shot multiple times in his body and pronounced dead on the scene at 9:58 p.m., authorities said. A 26-year-old man was shot in his chest and shoulder. He's in critical condition at Advocate Christ Medical Center. Police say the shooting might have been gang-related and no one was in custody. So, following Stain's recent death, that's when we would start seeing people from Face World, aka Nooski Gang, posting about Juju. So this is 11 days ago, all right? So basically, they're saying Stain allegedly killed Juju from Face World in 2014, and suddenly out of nowhere, you got people from Nooski Gang, aka Face World, saying RIP Juju on 10/17. So a lot of the time when that happens, it seems to be confirmation that essentially, yeah, he probably did that to Juju if they're celebrating. People saying Juju's death turned dudes like Dewey 4 times all the way up. Rest their souls. Crazy he died on May the 6th in 2014. Stain only 2 days later. So since Stain died on May the 8th, 2026. Saying, is he called Nooski Gang for Durk's cousin or is there another Nooski? Yes, Durk's cousin. How many dudes did he kill? What the F? They're saying he pled guilty for this one. I think he got 15 years for it. There's been known, right? But apparently that's not the only body he had. Apparently he had another body, okay? They're saying he had a second body, and the victim was Dwayne L. Thomas, right? And this apparently put him behind bars in 2015 for around 10 years, and he opened up about this in an interview.
But let's talk about, because you did 9 to 10 years straight, right?
Yeah.
And
9.5.
And we could talk about it because you already got convicted of it, but you was charged for shooting somebody in the face?
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Can you break down that story or how much you can say?
Shit. I went over there to defuse the situation.
I think he like a hero.
I went over there to defuse it.
I'm sure there's some people that disagree with that, but yeah.
I'm saying I think he like a hero.
I went over there to defuse the situation. Shit got hectic.
He should be looked at like a hero, like he did something good, you know what I'm saying? For the community, right.
So right now I still protect the community.
Wait, okay. There was a situation between what? Like some of your friends and another group of people?
One of my homies and somebody else.
Okay.
But real shit, I went over there to defuse the situation.
Specs is celebrating everything agave with the annual
What's the deal? What's the deal? Shout out to everybody coming through, man. Make sure y'all double tap that screen.
Yeah, the feet out the whole time. So shit.
The 3 white dots
talking to him
at the
still
top.
trying to
Click
defuse
the 3
situation.
white dots at the top.
Did what he
Hit that
did
like
and shit.
button, man.
I'm still here.
So he upped it on you, but then you just managed to have the better shot?
When I popped up on him, he already hit it up. But shit, I'm back.
And you was facing 107 years?
Yeah.
And what did they charge you with initially?
Murder, 2 attempts to murder, and aggravated half speed or some shit.
All right.
And so, okay, the shooting happens, and then what? Do you just go back to the crib and just wait for them to come get you eventually?
I got put up. I was on the run for like a month.
Oh, okay. What was that month like?
Hell, shit. Like, motherfucker couldn't even think straight. I ain't gonna lie. Couldn't even think straight, but shit. Like I say, I'm a good adapter. I'm able to adapt to any situation I'm put in.
Right.
So did you eventually turn yourself in or you just got caught?
No, I got caught. And that's how I got 9 speed.
How'd they catch you? Just driving around?
Riding. Got on me. I get about the gym. Shit. I was on the run for like, it has to be for like an hour. Put the K9 on him. Tased me up. Took me in. Shit.
So yeah, he doing high speeds, he catching bodies, he talking about like a demon, like he was trying to defuse the situation. So here's the details of that shooting, all right? And it's a little bit more brutal when you actually start reading it, right? It says no bond for man charged with shooting a man in a fist. Ever since J. Prince Sr. used his business instincts developed in the streets to launch the now infamous Rap-A-Lot Records in the late 1980s. As J. Prince Sr. grew into one of the most powerful figures in the rap industry, he became known for pioneering a practice known as checking in, which basically means that if you're any way affiliated with any street activities or gangs, as many rappers allegedly are, if you come to the city, you better get in touch with the Prince family and pay your dues. And if you don't do that, you better not think about stepping a toe in Houston.
The first time that I heard the word checking in, it was in relationship to Houston.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the blame for that.
Over the years, numerous stories have surfaced about the Prince family's alleged sinister checking in practices, with Prince even self-admittedly allegedly pressing none other than Jay-Z for not checking in with him when he came to Houston.
And they convinced somebody from Priority to go directly to Scarface without communicating with me. Okay, that doesn't happen. I mean, that's not the proper way. He pursued his situation, right? It didn't go well for him because he didn't do protocol-wise. Wow.
The Prince family also famously banned 6ix9ine from damn near the whole state of Texas because he refused to check in.
Hey, where's 6ix9ine at? Y'all came to see 6ix9ine, huh? Where you at? Where you at?
But these examples are just the tip of the iceberg. But recently, this practice of checking in has raised a few eyebrows over at the feds. Checking in would actually be one of the very things that another similar street rap mogul, Big U from the Rollin 60 Crips in Los Angeles, would eventually go down for in early 2025, as the feds would use his own words about checking in to allege that he was in fact extorting people who had come to LA. But the federal paperwork would also interestingly mention none other than J. Prince Sr., describing him as an FBI Houston Division subject, meaning that he was at the time being actively investigated by the feds in Houston. But this is nothing new, because the feds have seemingly had their eyes on J. Prince Sr. for decades, gathering whatever evidence they could in an attempt to put him behind bars. And this isn't just due to the alleged checking in practices, but also because of serious cases involving far more ominous allegations. According to one story, J. Prince Sr. allegedly sent someone to shoot up the house of a rapper called Big Mike due to a contract issue, with this shooting almost killing him. But Big Mike would strike back, trying to burn down the Rap-A-Lot Records headquarters, a stunt that landed him in prison for years, while J. Prince Sr. skated by without any consequences. And yet, despite all the allegations and controversy surrounding them, J. Prince Sr. and his family have so far managed to avoid any serious consequences of their notorious street reputation. But more recently, the idea of the Prince family being brought down by the feds has begun to feel more real than ever. And allegedly, it all traces back to one wild member of the family, J. Prince Jr., one of Senior's 3 sons that include Junior, Jazz Prince, and Baby J. In order to understand where these new claims are coming from, let's start with the most recent incident, one that many now see as the beginning of the end for J. Prince Jr., and if they're not lucky, it will be the downfall of the entire Prince family.
Navon, the number
one. Boy, they sure be trying to put together some stuff on here, man. That's all I see right now is these people trying to put together something, man.
I want to get to them racks, get to that money, I want to be born.
Broke into Young Boy's mansion in Houston and stole several items. Not long after this, those same items somehow ended up in J. Prince Sr.'s possession, and Sr. would post a video of himself on social media, positioning himself as somebody that was genuinely looking out for Young Boy.
The little homie Young Boy, the place got broke into, people went in his place, disrespected different things, and I got a call about it. And the little homies that went into this place want to make that right, because they understand that, you know what I mean, Young Boy family is okay with me. And as you can see, homie, to make a long story short, I got your keys to your Rolls Royce, I got your keys to your McLaren, you know, all that. that they took, and the homie, Shakur. What you got, homie? You got your Rolls Royce umbrellas, you got your keys, you got a bunch of other. Get in contact with us, bro. Get your back.
But Youngboy didn't see things that way. He would question why J Prince would take it public, showing off his stolen goods, instead of reaching out to him privately, especially if he really just wanted to return the items.
Hey, I don't want no friends, I don't want no new relationships. All that. Hey, I don't respect none of that shit, man. If you got something for me, man, I got plenty of around me you could call. Man, it's plenty ways you could get in touch with me. Man, don't get on no internet and do nothing publicly. Don't do nothing dealing with no publicity, none of that. And I'm good on no keys, gangster. When you buy cash, two keys come with the car anyway. Mind your fucking business, man.
The unspoken implication behind this whole ordeal seemed to be that J Prince Sr. wasn't really trying to help, but really make a power move to show that he was the one who really ruled Houston, and that Youngboy should be grateful for his protection. In the follow-up to that incident, J Prince Sr. would have some rough words for Youngboy, still pointing out that he was apparently cool with Youngboy's right-hand man, OG3.
You took my kindness for weakness, because you're a dumb boy with limited thinking ability and disrespectful. You're talking slick and acting like you and your brother wasn't down with me, letting it be known your mob ties. But I talked to your brother, and I believe every word he said about you knowing, because he's been solid with me. I've known your brother for years and never witnessed no weakness. So OG3, we good. But you seem to be dumber than a box of rocks.
The relationship between Youngboy and J Prince Sr. would apparently be fixed a few years later, seemingly with the help of yet another infamous hip-hop mogul, Birdman. But as OG3 himself explained in a recent interview, he had been cool with Sr. for a long time, even before that incident, and he had since become particularly close with J Prince Jr. This would explain why J Prince Jr. was out that night, celebrating OG3's birthday, with the entire 4K Trey crew with him.
How did you smooth over that J Prince situation? Like what? How did you I was like, this? He really went and smoothed that over.
I mean, the J Prince situation. I'm gonna be honest. Like, man, they really on my side. Like, just on a personal note, that's really family. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. The daddy and the son. You get what I'm saying? And I got closer to Junior through the daddy, so it's like me and Junior really like this now, and I was really with his dad at first. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, the birthday celebration would soon descend into chaos as a scuffle broke out between members of 4K Trey alongside J Prince Jr. and a Detroit rapper known as All-Star JR, real name Jeremy Ford. His child's mother would reportedly be dating J Prince Jr., this likely causing tension between the two, especially considering the embarrassing videos that were floating around showing them both together.
Hey man, he a cheater, y'all. Oh, that's mob. She made it. Oh, hey, you are. She made it. Trust the process. Say, man, I'm glad you left her alone. Oh, I'm glad y'all had differences. I'm the difference now.
With all of this possibly being the exact motive for the attack. But whatever the ultimate reason, the 4K Trey goons decided to attack All-Star JR inside the restaurant without warning. What followed was a ruthless beatdown where they were putting both hands and feet on JR while stealing his jewelry. However, things would take a complete 180 turn when JR would suddenly get his hands on a gun, apparently dropped by one of the attackers, opening fire with tragic consequences. This left two members of 4K Trey, Ben 10 and Dead End Ron, severely injured with life-changing injuries. Ron had to have one of his fingers amputated, while Ben 10 currently remains paralyzed from the waist down. Still, many were left confused when the first and so far only arrest in the case turned out to not be any of the people who allegedly started the altercation or robbery, but the shooter, All-Star JR himself, who many believe had acted in self-defense. However, the logic behind the arrest would seem more understandable when reading the truly gruesome events described in his criminal complaint. A security camera at the venue would capture JR not just defending himself, but also allegedly chasing his attackers afterwards while firing wildly in their direction. And most brutally, JR returned to Ben 10, who was lying motionless on the floor, and stood over him firing additional shots, with one of these possibly being the one that caused his paralyzation. JR would then walk away before soon returning and shooting more shots in Ben 10's direction, and eventually the only thing that seemingly stopped him from executing Ben would be the gun running out of bullets. And even that didn't stop him, because then he apparently went on to pistol whip Ben 10 with the empty gun and spit in his face. He would eventually flee the scene before the police arrived, but based on the brutality of these acts, many would likely argue that he deserved to be arrested for overkill or using using excessive force. But interestingly, that's not what he was charged with at all. Instead, the only charge brought against All-Star JR was a charge of unlawful possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And this charge didn't come from the Houston police, but the feds. But in order to charge him federally, the feds had to prove particularly one key detail, that the weapon at some point had crossed state lines. So following JR's arrest, many believe that's exactly what happened, that he had taken the gun with him and fled back to his hometown of Detroit.
You can take somebody's gun and use it against them for self-defense. For sure, that sounds like self-defense, but as soon as you stand over him when it's not an immediate threat, now we have a problem. Here's the other problem. I was talking to somebody who seems like they're sort of close to this case. They think it's a possibility that he left the scene of the crime with the gun and potentially crossed state lines with it in his car.
But in reality, JR hadn't even taken the gun with him. He actually hid it under a bar counter at the venue before fleeing. And the real reasoning for the feds to charge him was simply the fact that the gun model JR ended up using that night was a Glock 43X, which is manufactured outside of Texas, therefore fulfilling the requirement of interstate commerce. Now, while that technicality makes it a federal case, something about it just feels off. It's a surprisingly flimsy and thin reason for federal agents to suddenly get involved. And according to some rumors, JR's arrest is only a small part of a much bigger play by the feds, which might really be targeting none other than J. Prince Jr. But to understand why the feds might have been targeting him specifically, we have to go back a few years and look at a pattern that's now becoming hard to ignore, because this was far from the first violent incident involving J. Prince Jr. In fact, in recent years, wherever he seems to go, someone eventually ends up dead. J. Prince Jr., much like his father and his brothers, has been for years tied in with the Prince family businesses, which could include anything from boxing promotions to running a 1,200-acre ranch and, of course, the music business. That's what they're most known for and where they've been able to stay relevant for decades. But J. Prince Jr. also has his own brand, which is also a record label and the crew that he rolls with called Mob Ties. Sounds an awful lot like a gang to me.
When did you start the Mob Ties brand name?
I mean, Mob Ties derives from Young Mafia. I started Young Mafia. We used to call it Young Mob. I started Young Mob, me and a couple of the homies. We started Young Mob probably early high school, like my 10th grade year. We started an entity where I brought all the different sides of town together and made one collective group for us to get money.
But apparently in recent years, Mob Ties has really become an essential rebrand of the Rap-A-Lot label, with Drake, who was actually discovered by J. Prince Sr.'s son, Jazz Prince, even dedicating an entire track called Mob Ties to the crew on his 2018 album Scorpion, a song where he raps like a real mob boss about how he gets rid of his enemies before shouting out mob ties and painting them as something much more serious and dangerous than just a brand or a record label. In many ways, J. Prince Jr.'s Mob Ties has carried the same infamous reputation that J. Prince Sr. built with Rap-A-Lot Records. But in recent years, that reputation has taken on a far darker image, as people connected to Mob Ties have increasingly begun to turn up dead. In September 2022, an up-and-coming jewelry dealer from Chicago called Duke the Jeweler would join J. Prince Jr.'s crew to spend the Labor Day weekend in Houston, where in attendance were also other major figures from the rap game, including Boosie. The party also included some gambling, as Duke himself would post a video of them playing on social media, this including also J. Prince Jr., who was standing right next to Duke. But behind this seemingly harmless dice game, there was apparently something much more sinister going on. And according to later claims by Wack 100, who has become one of the loudest voices speaking out against the Prince family, J. Prince Jr. has allegedly been running a rigged dice game scheme for years, together with 3 other accomplices, one of these being called Lil Cam, whose name will later become central to this story.
He got 3 right?
Man, free Lil Cam. Yeah, man, how much time they gave Lil Cam, bro? We ain't heard Lil Cam name in a little bit, bro. This nigga done brought back up Lil Cam name, boy. Y'all remember when that shit happened, boy? They had Lil Cam name hot than a motherfucker, man. What a homie at, man. He must be down there in
Who
TDC
rotate the
doing this
dice.
thing,
Now,
man.
these dice is loaded.
We really needed that.
Why is he talking about loaded dice? What J. Prince over there doing, man? Them boys got money to blow, man. They ain't got no loaded dice going on over there, man. They ain't got a raw.
It's a named Wolf. Big
Y'all
Caprice,
giving it to him.
and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotator.
However, during the dice game with Duke the Jeweler, things would go all the way wrong, as it was Duke who was allegedly handed the loaded dice by accident, causing him to go on a winning streak. And according to Wack, he walked away with up to $200,000.
There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler around and got past the dice on accident and was hitting all them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story.
Now, this would have understandably left J. Prince Jr. and his Mob Ties crew fuming.
He said the jeweler got past the dice. He didn't even know the mother loaded. He just think he hitting. He's as mad as a mother because they like, how you pass this loaded dice on us?
The very next day, on September the 4th, Boosie, one of the figures present at the previous night's dice game gathering, was scheduled to perform at Houston's Arena Theater alongside Plies and Lil Kiki. Duke would also attend the concert, where he would seemingly arrive wearing 3 huge chains worth allegedly up to $1 million. Around 11:30 p.m., Duke would leave the concert walking to his car located in the arena parking lot. But just as Duke reached his vehicle, 2 gunmen jumped out of a GMC truck, rushing towards him and opening fire, shooting him repeatedly in what appeared to be a deliberate attempt to make sure that he was dead. The shooters would then jump back into their truck, which was driven by a third accomplice, and flee the scene. And while Duke was soon found by security guards, eventually he would be declared dead at that scene.
Now to a developing story. An investigation is underway after a deadly shooting.
Man, how
at a
they
rap
got
concert
anything
in
to do
Southwest
with Jay
Houston.
Prince?
The shooting happened last night at the Arena Theater along the Southwest Freeway in Fondren.
Police believe the 29-year-old victim attended the concert here at Arena Theater last night. Police currently searching for 3 people, 2 possible shooters and a driver.
As police noted soon after the shooting, there were no reports of any altercation beforehand, suggesting that the attack had likely been planned in advance.
At this time, we do have several witnesses, but it doesn't sound like there was an altercation. I don't know what the motive is for this, but there wasn't a fight or anything going on at the time.
It's Houston, bro.
Authorities also gave no indication that anything had been stolen from Duke after the murder, even though he had allegedly been wearing his expensive jewelry. However, Duke also posted a photo on social media earlier that day showing himself with several bags. One of these possibly containing cash that he won during that dice game, which he may well have still been carrying.
Yeah, Jay Prince can go to the island and live for the rest of his life. And he got people that's gonna make food, margaritas. He ain't got to do nothing. He got somebody that's gonna run his water, wash his clothes. Like, man, that man can go to the island and sit over there for 20 years and ain't got to worry about no money. He gonna have food, water, and everything. Man, them boys ain't gotta go out there and do nothing to them people, man. That's other people doing shit to them, man. They probably got their own problems. They probably done fucked over a nigga in Houston and came to Houston and thought shit was sweet, man. They thought because they was gonna be around J. Prince Jr., niggas wasn't gonna get at them, man. Y'all know how these niggas be moving out here, man.
At the time of his
fucked up, y'all keep lying on
death. But whatever the truth may be, rumors about possible suspects began spreading almost immediately afterwards. And surprisingly, many people started pointing fingers at Boosie, and especially his cousin, who some believed had been one of the shooters, as he had earlier posted videos of himself driving a GMC truck on social media, and even allegedly posting himself driving one the very following day after Duke's murder while leaving Houston heading to Atlanta. These claims would make Boosie lash out on social media, saying how he had just met Duke the previous day at the gambling party and that his cousin had nothing to do with it.
Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to rob him and killed the dude. What the hell my 19-year-old cousin gonna try to rob and kill somebody? Bro, we getting money, man. We getting money. That ain't our stilo. As a boss, I ain't letting that go down like that, man. This dude finna make me a piece.
Shout out to Boosie, man. Y'all heard Boosie as a boss. He ain't gonna let nothing go down like that. Yeah, bosses don't let bullshit go down like that around them, man. Y'all got to do that shit another time. Don't do that shit while I'm here. You know what I'm telling you? That's what a boss gonna tell you. Don't do that while I'm here, man. Do that another time. While I'm right here, I don't want nothing going on while I'm right here. Now, when I leave, then you niggas can handle y'all business. But when I'm right here, I don't want none of that bullshit going on. Then I'm gonna have something to say about it. You know what I'm telling? Then my hands gonna be up in it, cause shit, y'all put me up in it. Yeah, bosses make sure shit don't go on while they around, man. That's the definition of being a boss. Goddamn it, yeah. Shout out to everybody, man. Boosie look mad to the motherfucker, man. Look at Boosie.
Don't put us in nothing with no bad low. It's bad low, man. Bad low, man. Straight up, this bad low. Kill it.
About a week later, Boosie would do an interview with DJ Vlad, where he would further address the events leading to Duke's death, making some controversial claims, like denying that Duke had been on a winning streak, and instead claiming that he had been losing money like everyone else there.
Dude was gambling. They trying to make false reps like the dude beat somebody out some money, but the dude actually lost his money, bro. Ain't nobody really win. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude lost his money, and
Boosie would also claim that it was Duke who had reached out to him about the concert and asked if he could follow him there. But what he didn't explain was why Duke somehow ended up parking in the regular parking lot while Boosie and the others parked in the VIP area inside the arena.
So the next day, dude hit my partner like, man, y'all got the concert. Let us trail y'all. Woo-de-woo. So dude went with us to the concert. And after I come off stage, everybody leaving. You know, we parked under the parking lot, under the arena where the celebrities parking and all that shit. He was in another car. He walked to his car. His car was outside the arena under where we was. It was on side the parking lot. So he had to walk to his car. And that's where the incident took place when somebody, you know, tried to get him or whatever. But Vlad, bro, if anybody know me, bro, that ain't my stilo, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Clearly, Boosie was doing anything he could to place the blame off himself, but this interview would leave many people under the impression that he might have known a little something more than he was letting on. But increasingly, there were also those who were coming to the conclusion that the much more likely suspect was actually J. Prince Jr. One of the first people to make these claims publicly was Charleston White, one of the internet's most controversial figures, who appeared in a podcast already in 2023, alleging that J. Prince Jr. and mob ties were responsible for Duke's death after their alleged dice game scam had gone wrong.
Everybody in there that night know what to play with, man. Everybody in Texas know what the play is. If you rapping, you celebrity, if you like the strip club, you like to do this, you check in with them, they bringing them bad dice on you. Why you think they Duke the Jeweler, they really couldn't get him? That's why they had, come on, homie.
Unfortunately, Duke's death was only the beginning, and only a few months later, another man would lose his